Hello and welcome to Geeks Assembled. Today we're going to be reviewing the second James Bond film, released in 1963, called From Russia with Love, starring Sean Connery. I'm joined by three people. I say people loosely.
We're geeks.
Geeks, yeah. Let's start off with Lee. What do you think of this, Lee?
Well, I am a fan of the James Bond franchise. Some people are more fans than I am, i.e. Connor. But I do like it to say these are the movies I grew up with on, this movie is riding the success of Doctor No. Because without that movie, you would never have got From Russia with Love. And to think, was it the first four Connery Bond movies? It was every year.
Yeah.
They made one every year. So that was a hell of a lot of work for the people, the production team and everybody behind these movies. From Russia with Love, well, it's also known, it was JFK's favourite novel as well. It's more as the movies go along, the Bond movies go along, they sort of lose their origin from the books. This one is more tied to the book, but there is some alterations, but it is sort of true to the book. Yeah, you've got Sean Connery. Some people say he's the ideal Bond, the best Bond, but hey, it don't matter, does it? Everybody's got their favourites. And also you've got Robert Shaw here as Red Grant, as the Russian assassin, which I thought was Robert Shaw was a brilliant actor in his day. And to get Robert Shaw, this was it early on in his career or was it mid-career? I can't remember.
I think it was more early on. I know.
Yeah, early on, yeah.
Movie, yeah, this is the movie that got him the job in Jaws.
Yeah, well, 10 years after, of course. But for me, Bond movie, it's the locations, it's the action, it's the villain, it's the gadgets, and this movie is the first one with Q, if I remember rightly. It's the first one with Llewellyn as Q with his magic suitcase. So everything about Bond. You can't think of a Bond movie these days without Q Branch or Q. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good to see because I hadn't seen this one for years. They're always played on TV over and over again. But for some reason, From Russia with Love, sometimes I miss out on that one. I don't know why. When you sit down and watch TV, it's not that one. But it was good to sit down and watch this one. Yeah, it was enjoyable. Was it the best? Well, I don't know. There is better ones, but it's still a good adventure espionage movie. So that's my opening thoughts for now. Back to Connor.
Thank you, Lee. Let's go to Susan for her opening thoughts.
Right. I love this movie because of Istanbul, Turkey, and the train ride there and back. I've been in Turkey 3 times. I've been in Istanbul 3 times. I love the city. I love the ferries back and forth across the Bosphorus Straits. I love the train ride from Bulgaria and Romania into Turkey. That's a really awesome trip. And this movie captures a lot of the things that I love about Istanbul. I love the market. You can't just park your car in the rotary at the big public market anymore. It's all sort of blocked off with big concrete pillars. Anyway, it's a blast from the past for me. My first time in Turkey was in 1986. I spent 3.5 months there and I started my experience there in Istanbul. Of course, you fly into that airport It had changed a lot between 63 and 86, though. It was still called Katakoi. It's that's just the way the airport is named, and yeah, so the airport had changed, but there were so many things about the movie that were still the same, even the same in the last time I was there, which was 2008. So yeah, I have a long experience, 22-year experience with with Istanbul and with Turkey, and I love I love this movie because of it. Um, it's it's beautiful, and I love the fact that there were so many great cast members in it. I mean, it was pretty brilliant. Like the Bond girls were great. There was Danielle Bianchi. There was Eunice Grayson, and there was Nadia Regin, but she was kind of not attached to Bond. She was Kerim's mistress, and she was like, "Are you my husband?" I understood, and that's another cool thing about this movie is that there's so much Turkish spoken in it. It's great. I mean, like that was really fun as well. And she was always like, "Are you my husband? Are you my man?" Anyway, that's fun. And Monty Penny was great, and Q, of course. And apparently there was a short bit with Blofeld, and that was like a good throw to all of the Bond movies, all along have something to do, and Spectre, all along, and let's see. Yeah, so that was really great, and so a lot of it takes place on the train, a lot of it takes place in Istanbul, and a lot of it is really lovely. And I do like the gadgets. I like the tear gas in the suitcase. That was pretty fun. And I mean, that's the only real reason to have tear gas anymore. This is a timely moment, but you shouldn't use tear gas for just anything. You should use it in spy novels. Come on, spy espionage. That's what it should be used for. Anyway, that's my opening thoughts. Over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Susan. Jake, what's your opening thoughts?
I've never been a fan of the James Bond franchise, and I've never been able to really enjoy any of the films. But saying that, it wasn't my favourite film, but I could sit through it, if that makes sense. Well, I could try and sit through it if I didn't die halfway through. But I could sit there and watch it for what it is, but not necessarily enjoy it as a fan, if that makes sense. Because I don't like the whole spy genre. I think it's boring. That's just me. And Sean Connery is probably my favourite Bond because I've seen every Bond's film, but I'm just not that invested in it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I like all the trains. I did like the stuff on the train. I thought it was quite good, and I like a bit where he got a thing out of his watch and strangled the bloke. I kind of want one of them. But yeah, there's some bits I don't really understand about James Bond, like how he can meet this random woman and start having sex with her. I'm like, you just met her. So that's what I didn't really enjoy. I found it quite funny when I got to that place and those two women are fighting each other, and they're like, "Oh, we got to stop them." I'm like, oh, okay. I like a little old man who had like that gun and he had it over James Bond's shoulder. Was that Q? The one with the gun and he had it over his shoulder. He's putting over James Bond's. Oh no. Which one was Q?
Q was the old man with the grey.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. It was well acted. I'll give it that. It was well acted, but these sort of films aren't necessarily my cup of tea.
Right, thank you, Jake. On to me. From Russia with Love is one of the first Bond films I saw after Casino Royale, which was my introduction back in 2006 with Daniel Craig. And it still remains, after a great many rewatches, within my top 10 favourite Bond films. This is the first film really that was a smash hit. Dr. No was critically well received, and I believe financially as well. But From Russia with Love was what cemented Bond in cinematic law, really. It smashed box office records, everything like that. It was the really the formula setting movie of the franchise. You got the gadgets, you got the girls, you got Q. You know, a lot of firsts were in this. One of my favourite aspects of From Russia with Love actually is the humour. Roger Moore is constantly, probably for most people, kind of noted as being the most funny of the Bonds. But, you know, Sean Connery had his moments, for example, at the end where Rosa Klebb is pinned against the wall with the chair and then shot. He remarks that she really had a kicks. Which is pretty witty. So I think Sean Connery had a lot of good humorous moments in this, which is often overlooked in his sort of era. As you said, as Lee said, Desmond Llewellyn appeared as Q for the first time. He was Major Boothroyd in the first film, played by a different actor. Blofeld made his first appearance, but it was played by Anthony Dawson, who was Doctor, what's his face in the Strangeways, I think, in the first film, Doctor No, and it was also really the first appearance of the gadgets, because aside from maybe the new gun in Doctor No, you didn't really see many gadgets in the first one. So this was really sort of exploring more of the espionage, you know, gadgetry that we've come to know and love with James Bond. The ultimate part, I think, of this film that most people credit, and has actually since been homaged in the last James Bond film, Spectre, was the train scenes with the confrontation against Red Grant and you know, Daniela Bianchi's Tatiana and Bond traveling. Great scenes. You know, Robert Shaw as Red Grant. He's not the main villain. There is no real main villain in this movie, but he's the one I think that stands out the most. People remember the most, although they do remember Rosa Klebb for her knifed boot. I guess you could call it knifed shoes.
Wasn't Rosa Klebb the main villain in this?
She was the one that was kind of navigating the mission on the Russians' ends, but I wouldn't call her the main villain. I would have liked more screen time actually with Rosa Klebb. She was really she was the mastermind behind it, but I wouldn't have called her the main villain. Karen Bay, the actor who played this Pedro, I can't remember his last name. It's I think he's a Turkish actor. This was actually his last film before he died. I believe he died actually while it was filming, because he had cancer, and he wanted to make sure that he got this movie finished, and he was such a big part in this movie and in the plot. He was really Bond's contact in Istanbul and helped with the majority of the mission. So it was good to be able to see him finish his role.
He was Mexican. He's a Mexican actor, but he's
Mexican. Okay, yeah.
He's he plays the Turkish guy.
Yeah, he plays the Turkish Karen Bear. The gypsy fight scene as well is renowned and is one of my favourite moments as well, I would say. That's really my opening thoughts. So I'll open the floor up and we'll go with favourite moments. Start from the lead.
Connor, going back to the actor Pedro, the filmed all his parts first because he had terminal cancer. But after he's finished filming, he went and killed himself. He killed himself. He just couldn't do with the pain of the cancer. But I mean, everybody goes Rosa Klebb, Lotte. As it said, I've watched the documentary. It said she was one of the sweetest, littlest actresses you could ever meet. And she was playing this little evil Russian woman with spiky shoes. And you say the Blofeld character was played by, was it Dawson? You say?
Yeah, Anthony Dawson. Yeah,
but it was voiced by another man.
Yeah.
But we never saw Blofeld's face in this one. But we got the cat and the Spectre ring, of course. My favourite moments is the gypsy camp scene with the fight, and the all surrounding that is brilliant. But also the helicopter scene, what's chasing Bond on the grassland is brilliantly done. And you've mentioned it, but I'm going to say as well the Orient Express, the fight on there is just amazing and well choreographed. But one thing, what I came away from watching the documentary on this was also because there was a lot of problems with this movie when it was being made. They had to re-edit it and do this and cut this and put this in that place so it could make sense. And this is why this is the first one with a pre-titled sequence. And all the way through the Bond history now, you always have a pre-scene before the titles. And also as well, this will be the first one with a vocal track song, but this one's at the end of the movie. From Russia with Love by Matt Monro. After that, it was always put at the front, except for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which reversed it again. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I say that the boat scene as well, with all the fire and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they could do in a space of a year to produce a movie like that, then go on to the next movie the next year to do the same again. Amazing movie. But as I say, it's not one of my favourites, but it's still up there. That's my bit. Anyone else?
Susan?
Yeah. Let me talk about the gypsies. That's the fight scene was really intense and really great, and the two women fighting in the beginning of that scene were, I mean, that was a vicious fight too. And then the fact that there were gypsies in a movie about Turkey and Bulgarian people, oh my gosh, it was like, why I own this for so long. I just loved it. Anyway, the thing that really that it is sort of Michael Bay explosions, these great big huge things that shouldn't make all that much big up explosion. They sure do in this one. And I mean the helicopter and the big barrels of gasoline coming out of the back of that boat. Amazing. And the fact that this was like quintessential espionage. They were looking for the code breaker, the thing that like the thing in World War II. I can't remember what it was called, but
the Lecter, I think it was. It the Lecter?
Anyway, the thing that broke the German codes. Really, this was like the thing that they were trying to break the Russian codes, and that was really interesting and intriguing. And so I really love this movie for for the gypsies and Turkey, and the whole actual real espionage feel to it. Anyway, back over to you, Connor.
Thank you, Susan. Jake, what's your favourite moments?
I liked all the train bits. I thought they were quite cool. But it's sort of film where I'm struggling to recollect anything that really happened with it. I like the bit where they're shooting up all the gypsies. I thought it was really action-packed, as people they say, that sounded horrible. I didn't mean it like that. But I like that bit. I like how violent it was. I like stuff. I like a good massacre scene. I think I like that when that happens in movies. And it's really action-packed. It's like bang, 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 and all the explosions. But I'm not a sort of person that likes a film what is all about explosions and explosions all the time. But I did enjoy the fight scenes in this film. I thought they were quite well like put together. I can't say the word that describes how the fighting stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed that bit. I like a bit where that poor woman who's drugged off her tits is laying in that flower bed in the back of that lorry getting blown to shit by these people throwing grenades at an helicopter. She must have been crapping herself. My God. I just felt, with all those bloody things hitting her, I wasn't one hit her yet. You'd think at least one would have hit her because he was laying her all sprawled out. She's like a target. You think I'd be like, oh, throw a grenade on top of her, sort her out. It's like, no. That was a bit daft, but it was so funny. It made me chuckle. I'm like, there's this woman rolling around, like, drug high as hell, and being had grenades thrown at her. But it was a good scene, watching all the explosions blow up behind them with the helicopter. But yeah, those are my favourite moments, really. Can't say more than that.
Right, well, my favourite moments, there's a lot to pick from. But yeah, I've got to agree with Lee that the helicopter scene at the end is a great finale to a Bond film, really. Very North by Northwest. I think that was the direct reference there. That was the inspiration for it. And in fact, Alfred Hitchcock was going to direct this very, very early on in the process. So it's interesting that he kind of was able to get some of his influence in there. The pre-title sequence, which as Lee noted was the first, was very good. That was a bit of a shock the first time seeing it. Not so much the second, third, fourth, etc. time of seeing it, because you know what's going to happen, but you think that Bond genuinely dies, and he doesn't. It's just a decoy, a training practice session, really. But it's a good little shock, I guess, twist.
It's like the Avengers.
Yeah, a bit like the Avengers, yeah. And the train scene is just iconic. There's a lot of iconic moments in here, a lot of iconic characters. Daniela Bianchi's Tatiana has probably gone down as one of the most popular Bond girls. I wouldn't say in the top 5, but she's certainly in the top 10, maybe 15. And she's really sort of the key to this. She's the one that lures Bond to Russia under false pretenses of fancying him. And yeah, it's really, she gets quite involved in it as well, which is good to see for a Bond girl. I think that's what always makes the best Bond girls stand out, is that they have an influence on the plot. They're not just there for sex and other magic. So yeah, I think everyone's really covered my favourite moments. So we'll move on to, is there anything people didn't really like about it?
No, really, because this, I mean, we go back to Dr. No, but this one set up what we know and love from Bond onwards. You've got M, you've got Moneypenny, you've got the intro, the music, the dancing credits and all like that. That is up forward from now, because Dr. No sort of missed all that. still a good film, but it was from this one where the Bond franchise sort of went. But no, I can't say there's nothing I would change about it or I didn't like. So that was my little last say there.
Thank you, Lee. Does anyone else have any more general thoughts or anything before we move on to rating it?
Any movie with gypsies is brilliant. Just FYI.
That's why she likes the Wolfman.
It's true. I do love the Wolfman for that very reason. Well remembered, Lee. You do pay attention to what I say. Holy crap.
Sometimes.
Thank you, Susan. So I guess we'll move on to rating it now. Lee, what's your final rating?
Well, before I do my final rating, we did the next one, which we'll be doing next month. We held the George Lazenby poll, and the movie that won that one is On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Really?
I didn't. Yeah. I can't believe it. What about the other ones that he did?
We'll be doing that one next month. So, but of my score, it's a good film, but it's not one of my favorite. It's not me. I've got more favorite ones than this. So, on that note, I'm going to give it a 007 out of 10.
Oh, very witty. Thank you, Lee. Susan, what's your final rating?
I'll give it an 8.5 minarets out of 10.
And Jake?
I'll give it 7 gypsies out of 10.
Yes.
And I'll give it an 8 out of 10 to round it off. So thank you very much for participating, everyone here, and thank you for watching.
Teşekkür ederim.
What's
that is Turkish for thank you very much.
Oh, well, you learn something new every day. Thank you for watching, and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Don't think we've got a bell sound, have we?
Ding.
And hopefully you can join us next time for another review. So thank you very much, and see you later.